Hi, it's Pat Monahan reporting to you via tape delay. We went straight from our Sail Across the Sun cruise to the tropic paradise of Hawaii, my favorite place in the world. Needless to say, we're having a couple of really great weeks. I hope all of you are staying warm and dry out there and the winter weather isn't treating you too badly. You're probably all right if you're in Australia. We're taking a quick break to catch our breath and regroup. It's been a crazy couple of months writing some train songs. Anyway. And it's almost time for us to head into the studio, lock ourselves away for some recording sessions. And anyway, this is an exciting time for me and the whole band. And I can't wait to get some new music out there for you guys to hear, but also for us to get back on the road to play them live. This week's podcast was actually recorded at one of those writing sessions a while back. This past fall, I was in New York City and spent a couple days with my friend Greg Wattenberg, who's a great writer and producer. At the same time, I was writing with the Espionage guys who you met on one of the previous Patcasts. When I was with Greg, right there in his studio by Times Square, I ran into a kind of a new friend of mine that I had only met one other time, but I really love him and his new band, or in his band as well. His name is Marc Roberge, and he was working on a new album with Greg for his band O.A.R. We asked him if he could take a break from recording to do the Patcast, and luckily he said yes. O.A.R. was formed in Maryland in 1996, and for the most part, the members of the band have been friends since childhood. They all decided to go to college together at Ohio State so they could focus on their music, and their parents weren't too thrilled about that at first, but eventually, as you'll hear Mark talk about it, they got over it and got kind of excited about it. O.A.R. Got started mainly by promoting themselves and were able to attract a pretty great fan base without much help from a mainstream music industry entity. Eventually, they did sign to a label and ended up having several radio hits, but they were well established as a touring act by the time any of that happened for them. It's an impressive story, actually, of self-actualization, and it all happened before crowdfunding websites like Kickstarter had been invented. These guys were maybe, without even realizing it, on the cutting edge of a new trend in the music industry. They have 7 albums under their belt at this point, and an 8th on the way. They were actually in the process of writing a new single when we did this podcast. Now the single is scheduled for release this month, so you'll be lucky to hear that soon after you hear this podcast. O.A.R. has been a touring machine for years. They really they have a huge fan base. I'm really excited to have gotten time with Mark. Through sheer force and will, they got the band off the ground and filled bigger and bigger rooms over the years. They've opened for Dave Matthews Band and Sheryl Crow, among others, and they've sold out Madison Square Garden, which is still on my bucket list. It's an amazing success story of a band starting out as high school friends and putting in the hard work that it takes to become a successful anything. I'm very grateful to be able to bring that story to you right here on the Patcast. Lead singer of O.A.R., Marc Roberge.
What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking, looking at you. You got to get it while the getting is good. Laugh when you can, cry when you should. You got to give it till the giving is gone. Do what you can, then you move on. What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking, looking at you.
Hey everybody, I'm in New York City. You've heard of a band called O.A.R. I think they're amazing. You guys are from D.C. Why?
We were born and raised in Rockville, Maryland, right outside of D.C., 10 miles or whatever it is. And we stayed there until the end of high school, and we'd already put out a record, and we were working on a second one, and we decided to go to college together in Ohio because it was a huge school and we got in.
What
That
school?
was it. Ohio State.
Oh, wow, you went to
Yeah.
Ohio State. Man,
Yep.
people of Michigan hate you.
Hate us.
By the way, I'm here with Marc Roberge. You say Roberge, right?
Thank God. Wow.
Man, that's an amazing last name.
Thanks for pronouncing it correctly.
And so anyway, you went to Ohio State,
Yeah.
which, people of Michigan despise.
Yeah.
And And then what? O.A.R. is born in college?
Basically, it was born in high school. We played the 8th grade talent show in middle school together, and we covered Pearl Jam's Porch and Wonderful Tonight, Clapton, and I was wearing my Israeli military boots and my flannel shorts, and I wanted to be in a band, and with the fans, everyone went crazy, and we said, this sounds great, we're going to do this.
That's cool.
In high school, we put out a record and tapes.
What year did you graduate high school?
1996, 97.
Wow.
96, 97. And then we put out all the tapes, sold them in school for $5, and then made CDs, disc makers, sold those for $10. I think we reduced the price eventually, but yeah, it worked. We had a program we made, a sales rep program, because all our friends went away to school from Maryland. We got lucky. And we just said, hey, take a case of 25 of these. Sell them in your dorm. If you can't sell them, give them away. But just don't give me back CDs. I don't want them back. And kept records and and that's how we grew our record label. And eventually that record label just did really well, and then we sold out.
Man, I hear stories about, who was it? Was it Offspring? They sold, I think, 500 or maybe just 100,000 CDs without Columbia Records or without a record label. Then they got signed to like an indie, like punk rock label and sold 1 million records. And then Columbia Records really had to pay a lot of money to get them on their label.
That's crazy.
So hopefully you got a lot of money when you sold out.
There was still money in the business to have, right? What we did get was a great deal. So we went to Lava Atlantic. Jason Flom, who's just kind of like spotted us and was really cool, and Greg Nadell at Atlantic, and basically just got a really good deal where we had business, we had our merch, we had all our stuff, and we just wanted a distribution and a really good marketing and promotions. And Atlantic was there to support us and let us do whatever the hell we wanted. We weren't really selling out to the fact that like they were just really cool to us. But then eventually we started learning the business, the ropes, and when we did have a hit song, then they really helped having that company. We actually finished a deal with Atlantic Records, which is very a rare thing to do. So we actually went through a whole deal, and that was something we're proud of.
What label are you with now?
We're in between labels right now. We're on Wind Up with Mr. Greg Wattenberg for our last album.
I've never heard of him.
Me neither.
So yeah, you and Greg worked. Greg and I have written songs. You know, Greg was actually the beginning of my Save Me San Francisco album, where I came here and wrote. How did we meet? Did I meet you through Evan Lamberg?
Yeah.
And then you introduced me to Sam Hollander. And so anyway, there's like a family of New York people that really was the whole essence of that album. And then I was writing with other people and wrote Hey Soul Sister and some other stuff, and then Greg had to fix it all and make it sound like it could be on the radio. So once Greg Wattenberg got involved, things started to really heat up in my life. So my wife and I have dedicated a bedroom to him.
It's very
but
sweet.
It's at a hotel down the road.
Yeah, in Arizona.
In Arizona. So, you know, I just don't think of labels as a sellout as much as I think of labels as a vehicle to get people to hear your music, and then hopefully, you know, the song on the radio inspires them to buy an album, and then the album maybe they find something. But one of the things that O.A.R. has that many, many bands and artists never, ever get is a big, devoted following.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've only played in front of an O.A.R. crowd once. That was a radio show for PLJ. And every one of the people that we played in front of were waiting for you, and they looked at us like, if you died right now, that would maybe be the best part of my life. And I thought, man, I kind of had a lot of respect for that. Like the kid, I was like, you know what? I remember looking at one of the guys who had an O.A.R. shirt on, and I said, you know what? I know that you're trying to pretend that you're not having fun because you don't want your friends to know how awesome this is for you. But I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And he hated me even more. It was good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the thing with the selling out at first, I agree completely, you know, and that's why we do what we do, is because I get it that I need people to help us. You need help. it's hard. So we went to that. The selling out thing was that what people say about you, and when they really don't understand that you're
Is
doing
that what
a
you
job.
got a lot of?
Yeah, we got a lot of that, and I think what it was is that they're scared that they're going to lose the hold of something that was theirs,
Sure.
and that's total. You know what?
They want ownership,
and that's really
fair.
sweet, and that's fair. It's super fair because I know I
Right.
love bands and I want them to be mine forever. So we really had a great run with all that, and our fan base, first and foremost, without them continually acting that way or just being diehard, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, doing this for real. Because without the fan base actually showing up and buying tickets and T-shirts, supporting you through the years when you're making records on your own, you can never forget that. They're diehard and it's amazing. And I'd never ever, I never ever really take it for granted. I mean, I always get excited when we walk into a show and I see the front row 5 hours before the show. They're there already.
Right.
Go and hang out. I see that with other groups, and I've always respected it. But we've been on the other end of it. You opened for Dave Matthews. The first time I opened for them, I remember an entire row
Yeah.
of people was facing the other way on purpose.
Wow. That's so funny.
Right, yeah.
You sound like such a humble guy, and I respect that a lot, and I try to practice the same thing. But if you could just hold on 1 second. Lenny, I asked for a large goddamn coffee. You brought me a medium, you fucking asshole. Anyway. So back to you, Mark. I just wanna once again.
Thanks, Lenny.
Don't ever fucking do it again.
I'll murder him, boss.
So when you see that, when people in the front row are like, that's their boycott.
Right, exactly.
It's almost like, do you laugh about it while you're up there, or does it really affect you? Because, I mean, you're a kid, right? Opening for Dave Matthews.
Right.
You got to have respect for that guy and his band,
Big
because
time.
they're like blasting out greatness and selling out
Love it.
stadiums all over the place. But what does this statement mean to you? Do you think, like, I feel bad for you guys that you have to be so small? Or do you think, like, oh, my God, this is terrible?
No, I never even, for 1 second, I didn't even get upset, mad, or anything. I saw it as a challenge. Like, okay, I got 40 minutes. I'm at the Gorge. I'm going to win. I mean, I want to win. This is why I'm here. I'm not here to lose. I love sports. I take that attitude out to my rock and roll. I like to win.
Yeah.
And
if you work with the Crush guys, there's a lot of sports analogies.
thank God.
You're gonna love it.
All right, good, because that's what I like. And I just looked at it that way, and by the end of it, they'd turned around. I mean, there was three other, another time I was sitting and I'm playing in an empty amphitheater at 4 p.m, and we finished a song, thank you, and this lady goes, "Who do you think you are?" "Dave Matthews, 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 Matthews." I'm like, thanks. Anyway, and I remember another, same stuff, people are telling you to get off the stage, and I just say to them, listen, I'm doing my job. I got 20 minutes left, and I'm going to go hard. I hope you enjoy it. You just kind of have
cool.
to kill them with kindness and win.
Yeah, that's a good attitude.
It does, because look, they're just trying to have fun. They probably got a little drunk. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They just want to have fun, And they love Dave, and they love that band, whatever that band is,
Yeah, so you just got to respect the love that is all there, and then just fight through it.
Yeah.
That's a good attitude, man. So as an opener of those things, did you learn how to be a headliner?
I did. I learned how to be able to do a long distance show. We like to do 2 hours, 2.5 hours a night.
Oh my God!
Just because I think that's the couple hours of my life that I feel completely in control. But on stage,
sure.
right? Like
Yep.
you probably feel, wow, this is my zone. I can do this. So I don't want it to end. But I learned from bands like that how to stretch it out a bit. I learned from bands like that how you don't have to say a lot to kind of own the moment. You can just, if you maintain control and composure and you're in your own head and you're just kind of like in the moment, people will be enjoying you there. You don't have to talk them into it. You don't have to like crack jokes the whole time, or I'm not a funny person. I don't try to be on stage.
Are you a guy who tries to get the crowd, like, come on, everybody? Or are you a guy who just lets your music do the voice?
I let the music do it until it's not working.
Right.
And then I say, fuck. If you say fuck, things work out. People cheer.
It's
they
funny.
like
People love that
They
word.
love fuck. And then if I I always resort maybe once a show to working the name of the city into a song because you know what? That's part of like rock and roll tradition. So.
Have you ever said the wrong city?
Yeah, Sioux Falls, Sioux City. I was in Sioux City or Sioux Falls. I still don't know which one I was in, and I said the other one.
Oh shit!
And it was a boo situation, but I just like I went with it and laughed it off because you know. It's not like you wake up every day on the road and you're so stoned that you don't really know. It's not anyone who acts like, I don't know where I am, bro, because I'm so rock and roll. Like, that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there are times
I don't know where I am, bro, because that's so rock and roll.
Right.
I love that. I'm going to start saying that.
Hey, where's is there laundry today? You know, where's catering? That shit happens, but like I forget sometimes just because I'm dumb, you know, just because I'm not because I'm a rocker.
So it's ignorance more than ultra cool.
Yeah, like I'm walking around on a Wednesday.
I really don't know where the bathroom is, bro. This is not.
This is not an act.
We used to have this guy in the band who he would wake up and go, "Hey man, where can I take a shower?" And if you looked out the bus window, you would like see a big shower sign.
The arrow.
Yeah.
And the God arrow. Yeah.
And you'd be like, "Hey bro, where do I get a sandwich?" And it was just like after a while you just started to say, you go over there.
Yeah, and you know that.
And you don't talk to me about it.
And you know that and you stop acting this way.
Yeah.
It's like I see dudes like that all the time. Like a girl will come up after the show to say hi. And 1 minute he's talking to me and he's like, "Hi, how you doing? You know, this place is awesome. I mean, I was reading Science Magazine 5 minutes ago." And then the girl comes up and he's like, "Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing over there? I'm just hanging, bro." Like,
who did you have the most fun with touring?
Matt Nathanson.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's been one of my BFFs since we've done a ton of shows together in the early years of this, both our bands. So we had a lot of fun. I mean, Matt he's awesome. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I love it. You know, I mean, I know he's pulled his pants down and stuff at sometimes and scared away some people, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I don't condone anybody pulling your pants down except Matt Nathanson.
Right.
Because then when he pulls his pants down, he makes me look so much better.
Exactly.
And that's why.
And well kept.
Kept. And Matt Nathanson, I think, has really he made a great record.
Yeah.
He's making all the right moves to like get a place without being compared to the things that he's been compared to. Train was compared to Matchbox 20 and everything you can think of, and we'll still get compared to whoever. But after a while, then it just stops. And did that happen with you? Have you been compared to a million things, like you said, Dave Matthews?
Right.
But and then when does it end?
You know, that's the hard, as a person, I think everyone listening to this thing goes through a couple different stages. One where they go and they say, "I don't care what anyone thinks about me. I don't care. I'm going to do me, and I don't give a shit what you think or who you think I should be." And then later that night, they care about what everyone thinks about them. And it's that seesaw of like emotion where you're strong and weak. Well, it's a balance. You do care what other people say because you're in a band and you're sitting up there and you're bearing your soul to people and you're trying to express yourself. So you do care what they think of you. But for me, I care about more how it makes them feel. Like if they can relate to me, I feel like I'm doing my job. If they can, we always say our only goal in this thing is, and I believe this, when you go to do a show, you want to leave the show better than when you got there. So if you showed up there feeling really good, you want to leave feeling a little bit better. But if you showed up there kind of hurt and wounded, like I do most nights, at the end of that show, I feel better. I feel.
Why do you feel like that? Why do you? Is it just your personality that you're a little bit kind of unsure of yourself as an artist? Not
as an artist, but I think that just life is. It's got a couple different ways of being. It's painful in some ways, but it's also really amazing in other ways. And I like to celebrate both sides of that when I'm doing music, like when I'm performing.
So when you're down, you want to embrace the down.
I got to do a show. It's like I got to get it out. It's like,
and you'll express the down in you.
Yeah, and people will take that as up. Like they'll hear a song and think that I'm and every song ends with a positive message, but it's a down song. Like it's a painful song about something that happened that was tough. But the whole point of it is like getting that out of you so it ends well. Like I would never know how to sit and just hold it in all the time. I'd go crazy.
Why don't you do what most people do, like me, and project your anger on others? Like, for instance, there's got to be somebody in your band you could kick out.
Yeah. Well, the thing
let's
is...
start there.
Okay, let's start there.
I think that will solve some of the sadness.
Right. Let's start there. Our band, we grew up as like, if there was a video...
Is it the same 5 guys that it started
as?
It's the
same, man, same guys. 4 of us went to high school and junior high together.
Are you friends? Do you like each other?
We love each other. The 5th member we met, the first person I met at Ohio State, walking across a bridge, like on orientation.
Like, bro, let's do it.
I'm like, hey, how you doing? What do you do? He's a musician.
What does that person play?
He's a saxophone player.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so he used to move our gear around and help us at shows.
You should still make him do that.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, I just think that would be the right thing.
Make me feel
like,
better about me.
We've really gotten to a place where we can afford other people, but what's his name?
Jerry.
But Jerry, I think you guys still keep setting our shit up every night.
You know what? And you know what? He'd flip that on me and be like, okay, you're a pussy. I'm a real guy. I can handle that. This guy, This is a guy who in college worked at BP and managed McDonald's and played in a band. Like, he's a dude, and he works hard. So
that's the thing, man. It's like this is, some people can get away with it in this business by just showing up. I don't know how it happens. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah.
And then some artists have everybody else write their material for them. How does that work with you? Do you do co-writes? Have you always done co-writes? Do you write everything yourself? Do you include other people in the band? How does it work? And is there tension because of it? How does the band react when other people, like, do you guys split shit evenly no matter who does what, so that you're all in cohesive, or are you like, fuck that? Like, we gotta get what we get and we earn what we earn.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. You could be hardline and say, you know what? Like, if you go on tour, you get paid because that's the time away and you're working, and that's how it should be. So if you write the songs, you get paid for writing the songs. But the way we ease that kind of uncomfortableness is our publishing is we never sold our publishing. So we split it. Yeah, we split it all amongst us evenly.
Wow.
So say I go out and write a song, and I started co-writing a little late in my career. We wrote everything in-house. I did lyrics, and we kind of would play the songs until the band worked it out. And late in my career, I started writing with Greg Wattenberg, Glenn Ballard, just some different people just to get going, and it really
Never heard of either one of those guys.
Neither. They're totally unknown, which is why I like to keep it real.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that was a big jolt, as you know. I mean, the first time you start co-writing, you think it's because you suck, and your label thinks you suck, and you need help. The point is, you just need help. Yeah, and it's okay. And you get better and better and better. And then next thing you know, you're a songwriter. And people are coming to you to write songs.
Right. Yeah,
and that's the dream, right? So that's the goal I have, is to continually do that until I can write anytime, anywhere with anyone. And each band member does that on their own. Some guys are arrangers, some guys are musical director types, and some guys are just like to play their instrument, and that's fine. So we split everything evenly in publishing so everyone can do it without any guilt. And then your writer shares your writer share, and you do what you want with it.
Is there any chance that you could cut me in on the publishing, since you were already doing that with a bunch of other dudes?
Just to keep the peace? Sure, why not?
Sweet. Hey, speaking of, how about would you mind playing Shattered? Is that
I would love to.
See, you wrote this with Greg, right?
Yes, wrote this with Greg.
This was, I remember hearing this on the radio and being like, man, you guys really wrote a really great song. And then just refreshing myself last night, why did you call it Shattered instead of Turn the Car Around?
This is a good question. We originally, it was called Shatter. Just the first demo said Shatter, and it didn't work. So we went Shattered, and then someone at the label said, "Can you put Turn the Car Around in parentheses?" They love parentheses.
Oh, I know that.
They love parentheses. It's like the way they get their title, and you get your title, and everyone wins.
Yeah.
I honestly, at that point in my career, I'd known, just don't fight the label, just go with it. Because if they're into something, they're going to work for you. And that's really cool. And And we said, fine, whatever, that's fine.
You're such a sensible man.
Well, because we made so many mistakes in the beginning of fighting everybody on every fucking thing, you know.
That makes
what
sense.
if the cover's blue? I'm like, no, my vision is yellow, you know. It's just not. So, that they called it Turn the Car Around, and it became Shattered Turn the Car Around, and people just call it whichever they like. I think it worked great. I mean, just yesterday someone said it was Turn the Car Around. Yeah, that's it. I don't even argue. Okay. As long as they're calling it, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, just is such a cool image.
And it started years ago. You know John Alasia? He's like a producer, writer, great guy. We were sitting up making another record, and I was playing him this lyric, something about Turn the Car Around. He's like, oh, that's really good. Let's write. And I said, yeah, one day we'll do that. And we just put it off 5 years until it just came back around. And it was, you've ever felt that way, man. You got these things in your life that make you crazy, but you can't live without them. Right. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, Pergo's that for me.
Right.
I can't live without him.
He's a handsome
No, he's
buck.
not. He's a very unattractive. That's what is disappointing.
Thanks,
like,
Mark.
but I can't live without him because he just does stuff that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And like this. Like,
exactly.
He's doing all this, and I'm not interested at all. Anyway,
he's actually ISDNing from like his house. I really don't want to do this.
Man, let's do Shattered.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, do you want to pick up a guitar and help us out with this? Because
that's a first.
why don't you come on over here and share a mic with me? But you did, maybe not so close because your breath is.
You just had an egg sandwich galore.
You just had an egg muffin.
It's close.
You kind of remind me of how I look at all this stuff. Like, if you want to sing, that sounds great. You should just do it. Like, nothing like that is precious to me. And when you have children, you realize what's really precious, and everything else kind of takes a...
I'm a big believer in, okay, cool. Just kind of go with it, because then, it comes...
And then when you do make a stand, people know that you're for real. Right. Like, if you're like, hey, man, that lyric is important to me. Like, I go with the flow most of the time. That shit's going to stay.
That's exactly right, because you go with the flow most of the time. And this is like, no, you play this part section because I like it, That's important on the live show, I think, is to be able to let your guys, but enable your guys to like be themselves, and because that's why they're in the band in the first place. There's something about them you loved in the first place.
I don't believe in that at all.
Right, you're totally controlling.
I want everyone to conform to my way of thinking, and then at least I will be happy. If everyone else is unhappy, that won't affect me.
Nothing affects us as singers in bands. Nothing affects us.
I even try pulling that shit with my wife. I'll be like, you realize I'm the singer.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, yes. And I do not give a shit about that.
They don't.
Now go do what I told you to do.
Oh, have you ever come home from a tour with that tour attitude? Like, you take your laundry bag. Yeah, and you just throw the fucking laundry bag on the ground, and like everything is just like as if someone's going to come do it.
I have never done that.
Oh, I'm the worst.
I know better. I'm scared to do that shit.
She would tell me stories. She'd be like, Bono, she makes him stay in a hotel for 3 days when he comes home from tour before he comes home because he's such an asshole. And I'm like, are you telling me I'm an asshole and I need to go somewhere for 3 days?
Yeah.
You're saying too, hey, Bono, pick up your shit.
Hey, not Bono.
Oh my God.
You guys in tune?
He's tuning to an out-of-tune guitar. It'd be better if we were both in.
That sounds good.
It sounds good? Okay, good.
Greg Wattenberg. That's what I would have written if I would have been in the room with you guys.
That sounds good. We'll make you famous.
How do you feel, Pergo? You ready?
Yeah, it's fine. Just got it.
Feeling it?
Yeah.
In a way, I need a change from this burnt out scene. Another time, another town, another everything. It's always back to you. I stumbled out in the night under pouring rain, and made the block, sat and thought there's more I need. It's always back to you. But I'm good without you. Yeah, I'm good without you. Yeah. That the night gonna take so damn long. Girl, I took it out on your street, and the rain still falls. Push me back to you. But I'm good without you. Yeah, I'm good without you. Yeah.
Man, I love that last line. I got to turn this thing around because we all know you're not talking about the car no more. You're talking about your life, dog.
Damn, he got cut right to the... Boy, you're like a knife, man. You cut right through me, bro. Shit was nice.
So, Mark...
Wow, that's crazy. I got to sing a song with you. That is really
You're
cool.
such a great singer. You didn't have to change keys or anything. Hey, Greg, you got anything that you want to say about Mark as a friend or a writer or anything? I would rather it was negative, but I'm sure that he would rather it was positive. What do you got?
Mark's just, the cool thing about Mark is he's just kind of what you see is what you get, which is kind of like you. I actually think that's why you guys are the same. And it's funny you point out that line, I got to turn this thing around, is he just says it. It's just, he changed the one word, and I remember we were working on the song, and I was like, wow, just that one little change made the whole thing become a little more real, and that's kind of stuff that you do. So I kind of think you guys, I'm just glad you guys met. I know this sounds like a
Very happy.
feel good moment, but you guys are both just real guys. You both have kids and wives who you love, and you just want to get in a room and write a great song, and you want to be inspired by it. You don't overthink it. You keep it really simple, and you know that the song is right. The whole thing kind of goes from there. None of the rest of the stuff matters. So, yeah, I've learned that from both you guys. I think it's easy to forget that in the music business, and so. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Greg, you've been an A&R guy, a label head, a producer, a songwriter. You've worked with some of the greats, some of the not so greats.
Some of the
Remain nameless.
It's funny that guys like us are, we're not children anymore, and we're writing songs that people still care about. It's hard to do. And sometimes I forget that as a 44-year-old guy, if I can be on the radio, that's a massive accomplishment, because I'm not Jay-Z, if you didn't know that. Because I think Jay-Z is he's our age too, but he can get away with that stuff, and it's a kind of a big deal what we're doing.
I mean, I got to say, I'll do it for you, from guys like us in a band that's not your band, watching everything happen. I mean, we go through a lot of this stuff where you don't doubt yourself, but sometimes all that energy gets to you, you let everyone's projecting onto you. But regardless of how you have seen this go, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but regardless of how you've seen your career go, whatever, guys like us watching, I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. You keep making records, you keep touring and doing it, and doing it right, and putting a smile on people's face and making them feel good, and continually doing it better and better and better rather than the other way. I mean, that's an inspiration. That's
cool.
Not just not easy to do. It's 1 in a billion.
Well, that's really kind of you. I feel like we are all kindred spirits, like with Michael Fronte and Mike. We talked yesterday about Michael and Matt Nathanson.
Yeah.
Everybody's working hard, and that's what we have in common. And being sensible people and getting along with the people that matter to us, understanding that we used to look down at our fans. Our fans were never cool enough, and it was a brief period, but you start to go how come that band gets all the and then you realize, what? I remember there was one key moment. My dad told me that some woman was going to come to one of our shows, and I was like, ugh. And he was like, man, you don't get it. And I was like, that was so that was a big moment for me to hear as a young man, that I didn't get it, because he was exactly right. I fucking missed it all.
I feel that, dude. I felt that way so many times until we started doing, we'd go to Walter Reed, then we went to Kuwait and Iraq, and then we'd go to Fort Hood, and we'd go visit soldiers and families of soldiers, wives and husbands of soldiers and kids, and people in the battlefield, in the theater, getting injured and getting hurt, and you look at real life and real loss and real going away for 18 months and having to and you talk to these folks and you realize, wait a second, I am I couldn't even, being this lucky, to have a job creating, first of all, which is the greatest job in the world if you can create something new every day. But you're lucky to be able to do it. So when you get jaded and weird and you start to think it too much and you're tired and you don't want to meet every single person who's your 12th cousin who wants to do that, then you just take a step and you look at the folks who, hey, they got to go away for 18 months and kid doesn't see dad, period. Right. That's real. So what we do is a privilege, complete privilege. And then you get paid to do it. So it's that daily affirmation is half of that is luck. You're lucky, and you should, and you'd do a disservice to someone who didn't get this opportunity to fucking hate on it, because there's a million people who would take your place in a second, right? Now, I'm talking to myself right now. I'm not I'm saying you, but I'm talking to me.
I was going to say I'd love to be a part of this conversation.
I know. I'm let me tell you something about you, Pat. Let me.
Took my place.
No, all that it just all makes sense. I mean, what was the book that my son had me read? Catcher in the Rye. Mm-hmm. And the reason I love this book, and I was like, man, man, dude, you really knocked it out with having me read this book, because he talked about people being boring. And I find complaining to be a bore. When I see people in the music business complain, I go like, that person bores me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what's worse than being called boring? Like, if somebody came
think
to
about
an
it.
O.A.R. show and they left and you were like, dude, how was it? And you were like, boring.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Well, kicking the balls, right?
We're kicking the dick.
And so that's why don't complain, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying this to you, Greg. You complain a lot.
You do. It's kind of your thing. I remember these dudes holding up signs at one of our shows that said, "or more like snore."
Oh,
and then,
man,
And then
I
another
love
one was
it.
like, "O.A.R. I'd rather be at the B.A.R." We were like, "Damn."
Holy
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know. So I
Yeah.
laughed it off. Like,
You
all
have
right,
to give credit to some of the
Yeah.
hatefulness, because there is, and it's like, if it's funny, that's what we love about it, because it's mean and it's funny.
It's funny if just let it happen. Let it,
Right.
The good stuff cuts, and
If
it's
you
okay,
take it
yeah.
personally, it will ruin every
Yeah.
moment that you make a move.
Yeah.
If you're going to but how can you not? Because being an artist is personal.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very torturous kind of life that we've chosen, but not as torturous as stand-up comedy. Those people live in hell.
It's
And they're dark beyond any kind of under any bridge you've ever been around.
It's much more rock and. I mean, yeah, right. Like a rock and roll tour, you think has a dark element, seedy kind of rock thing going. It's not.
No.
Comedy. Go to the Comedy Cellar in New York, hang out there for 4 hours and watch some comics, and see them hang in the room next door, and they're just not very happy,
Oh no,
not very nice, but they're funny as shit.
Oh yeah, they're the darkest people ever. And then we were talking about the WWE tour, and like that's a tough gig. And dancers have
They drive
chosen,
themselves from show to show, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Now they're basically like
WWE guys got to get themselves to the gig, right?
Yeah, they got to get themselves to the gig. They make like up and coming rock kids look like they got it easy.
damn, no sprinter van,
They get
nothing.
their ass kicked when they get to the venue.
Yeah.
Oh, good, Bruce, you made it. Get in the goddamn ring and get your ass
You're
kicked.
losing tonight, big. I don't know if you saw the script, but you broke your arm.
The script. Hey man, before I finish up with these last few questions, is there another song that you'd like to play for everybody? Because
yeah.
you're real good at it.
Oh, I would love to. That'd be cool.
man.
No? Oh, no.
No, I
that's
want to
not
hear
how it
an
works.
O.A.R. song, man. I want
Are you
people,
producing? You're producing this too.
I'm out.
I want people to know more about
Oh,
more about
shit.
you, not
All
more
right.
about me. I can make some stuff up.
I can make some stuff up
you
too.
Sing.
I can definitely do that. That's my kind of fun. Yeah, sure. Why
How
not?
about
Let's
play?
pick a song.
Do you have anything up and coming? But actually, you probably shouldn't do that, right? You don't want to have anything weird happen.
No, I mean I don't play the piece very well. This one very well. And
You
I'm
have
not a picker.
you have something that you know. One of the questions that I always ask is there something that you've written that you wish people heard more?
Right. That they didn't
Maybe
know.
you could play something that you wish more people knew.
Sure.
I was gonna ask you to play that.
I'm just get the chord. Try don't have it again.
My dad wrote a song once called "I Can't Get Over You." So get up and answer the phone.
Holy shit, that's funny, man.
Yeah. All he had was titles. Never wrote a lyric. And then one was another one was she broke my heart, so I broke her arm.
That's brutal. You know, I'm trying to think. I said, all the melodies coming back to me. All the melodies coming back to me. I think I'm feeling just fine. City lights. Okay, we're gonna get into I forget a chord, but
Cool.
this is a piano song, so I'm gonna just try to play it on the guitar. It's called
You
Over.
play piano as well?
No, I'm a real piano player. I am the.
You should kick that guy out, too.
No,
Just
because
hire
I'm
a guy.
so bad.
No, but you could hire a guy, pay him
That's
like
the guy I
50
hired.
cents a night.
50 cents a night.
I know a guy.
You know
I know
a
a guy that'll do it for $1.50 a week.
He's got one hand and 2 fingers, but he's... This guy will do it for an 8-ball and a Red Bull. All right.
Yeah, man. Here.
Oh, I don't even. I'm just gonna.
It's an E.
All right.
It's called Over and Over. I actually wrote this with Andrew McMahon, who is someone who I love, and I think he's awesome. And he was in Jack's Mannequin and Something Corporate. Now he's got his new albums coming up. We wrote it in the other room over here. I'm sitting here waiting on a new situation. On my way back to an old destination. I tried all night, but I couldn't find the answers. No, I gotta make it work, cause I'm running out of chances. Yeah, must be out of my mind. And all the melody coming back to me, I think I'm feeling just fine. City lights, just a few more miles to go. I do this all the time. Why do I draw those lines that keep me out of reach? It's not what I wanted, no. It brings me to my knees over and over, over and over. I'm sitting here waiting on a new conversation. Talking out of turn, man, I'm running out of patience. All the melodies coming back to me, I think I'm feeling just fine. City lights, just a few more miles to go. I do this all the time. Why do I draw those lines that keep me out of reach? It's not what I wanted, no. Might be what I need. I do this all the time. Why do I draw those lines that keep me out of reach? It's not what I wanted, no. It might be what I need. Over and over, over and over. Sunny days, God, I swear there must be sunny days up ahead or in between. Ah, fuck. I forgot the chords.
So good, though, man.
I know. I mean, it was until I fucked up all the chords.
Great. I love it just like that. That's the way. That's the way you want to hear it.
Yeah, sorry about
You
that.
want to try to finish it because this is a This brief interlude conversation is an amazing bridge.
Right, middle
So
eight.
why don't you chorus it out?
All right. Keep me out of reach. It's not what I wanted, no. But it might be what I need. Over and over, over and over, over and over, and again.
I love that version of that.
The remix.
I love it. What is that song called?
Over and Over.
That's a great lyric, man.
Thank
and
you,
who would
man.
you write that with?
Andrew McMahon.
Andrew is he's a talented kid.
Oh, love him, dude. I love
Jack's
him.
Mannequin.
Jack's Mannequin. His lyric, he's a great lyricist, in my opinion. I listened to his album In Transit, Everything in Transit, and I think he's writing a lot about what he went through with leukemia and all that stuff. And that's a smart boy. He knows how to do it, man. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. I met him a long time ago. He's from Southern California, I think. He was a friend of my original bass player, Charlie. And I met him when he was a kid. He was still in high school. And then here he is making an impression on the music world. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was sick. He had cancer, huh?
Yeah, so I guess what happened was, and forgive me if the story's a little muddled, but I believe he went into Dr. Kessler, the ENT voice guy up here.
Yeah, I've gone to him.
Yeah, me too. And went in with some issues. I guess he wasn't feeling good. Kessler said, he checked him out, said, you need to get checked out. Turns out he had leukemia. And then he goes straight into treatment. I mean, he went hard.
When was this?
I want to say 2006-ish, but I don't want to be, you know what I mean? I don't want to be wrong.
That's a very, very disappointing doctor's visit.
Right, I know.
Oh, man.
And then he went on tour with us after that.
You know, I'm not making light of it, but I'm just thinking, of all the things, hey, doc, I was like, my voice isn't working.
Can I just give you some saline mist?
Yeah. Hey, let's go away. Can we flip this? Because... Man, I didn't know that.
And I wouldn't have known it. He came on tour with us right after that with Jack's Mannequin.
Right after?
Yeah, and he was taking chemo pills, I believe.
He's
at the
a
time. He's a bad dude. Yeah. So people don't know that. This brother, he works harder than most people to
He worked
get
just to survive.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Oh, that's terrible, but I'm so glad that he's all right.
Yeah, I just wish he taught me this.
I mean, you know,
chords to the song.
Hey, man, what an amazing doctor's visit at the same time that Kessler was able to see it.
Yeah, and I don't even know
go
how.
Fix this.
I don't even know how it relates because it's a blood thing, right? So I don't really know I just know that Kessler was the one who kind of kick-started the whole thing.
Wow,
and,
that's incredible.
Yeah,
man.
and when I went into him the first time, I said, you know, Andrew sent me to you, and because you're the shit, you know?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, yeah. And I think that's the second time Kessler's done that for someone.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I went and saw that guy, he's a very interesting fella, that Dr. Kessler. I'd like to podcast the shit out of that guy.
He just texted me, happy early birthday. I mean, he's got a great calendar and text system going where he's like hitting you on all your, happy anniversary, Dr. Kessler. I'm like, damn, man, how'd you know?
Yeah.
By the way, you're dying tomorrow.
You better come in quick.
Happy birthday. Might be your last. Anyway.
Love the doc.
You owe us $10,000.
Let me hook you up with my friend Kevorkian.
Do you remember the one show that we did on the Matchbox 20 tour together? Was it in San Francisco?
We did, we were on this tour called the Jeep World Tour with Sheryl Crow. Yes,
it's so much.
I remember the tour.
I don't know why this Jeep tour doesn't exist in my subconscious or in my conscious, because that was a terrible time in my life. Like Adam Levine, I didn't realize that Maroon 5 was on that tour.
Right.
And so Adam Levine comes up to me like one of the first days of our tour that we did a couple years ago, and he's like, dude, you remember playing ping pong with me on the Jeep tour? I was like, not at all. You were on the Jeep tour?
Right.
Like,
What's the Jeep tour?
Like, I don't know why I didn't exist during that time of my life. And he was like, yeah, man, so you beat me, and you go, you know what, man, you really suck. And he goes, that crushed me. You're like the singer of Train, and our thing hasn't even gone yet. And I was like, dude, so hold on one second. You owe your success to me?
So wait, let's just make this clear.
Your band owes me a thank you.
Yeah. I remember that tour very well.
I don't remember it.
It was our first major tour. We're opening for, Ziggy Marley, Sheryl Crow, Maroon 5, a bunch of cool bands. And I do remember it in the sense that I remember Sheryl. This is my first time being around a superstar.
Yeah.
And the ping pong table, everyone was cool. Like, everyone was playing ping pong, and Benmont was on keys, and it was like, there's some badass dudes out here. Everyone was really nice. I mean, I don't remember sharing any time with you per se, because we were so new to everything. No one really hung out with us. We were just kind of like just watching everyone,
Our band was falling apart, and our career was, we were falling apart.
Man, you guys did not
really
appear that
struggling,
way.
Man. I just remember that time was like a really weird dark cloud.
So this is like Drops of Jupiter.
Yeah, this was Drops of Jupiter. We went out and toured with Matchbox 20. Which we shouldn't have. We should have done a headlining tour, and we really made a lot of mistakes. And then we switched managers right in the middle of it, and then we did the Sheryl Crow tour, and the Jeep thing. That was a terrible tour. It didn't do good business, so we were all like tanking, and so it was a really. Anyway, I just wanted to mention it because had I done something negative to you, I want to apologize because I don't remember what. It was like I was in a drunken stupor, but I was sober. I don't know why, subconscious or consciously, that tour does not exist in my brain.
No, you never did anything rude to me at all. I mean, I really was there as it was our first thing. I was excited every day just to be on a tour.
That's cool.
I did realize that, we papered the hell out of that tour, and it was a lot of free tickets and shit. But like at the time,
who cares?
We didn't give a shit. We were, I remember seeing you around a lot, but I didn't
Did
expect.
you think I was hot or?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you told me he threw a napkin at you. You're like here you go, kid.
It was like that Coke commercial with Mean Joe Green. I threw you my
that was
jersey.
exactly
Here you
like-
go, kid. Here's the jersey.
You're like, he's nice to me. He threw his underwear to me.
So here's my last 6
Okay,
questions.
all right.
Why are there 6? I don't fucking know. So what's your best tour find? Something that you found on tour, like a hot dog place or a record store, that kind of thing.
That's a good question. I'd have to say, Louis Lunch is a small hamburger joint up in Connecticut.
Really?
And it's like 110-year-old,
Famous cheeseburger place in America.
I don't know that place.
100-some-odd-year-old little stone hut, and they cook your burger in a stone stove, and then
Really?
they give it to you on a piece of white bread. It's unreal.
And is it a delicious cheeseburger or is it famous?
Yeah, no, it's delicious. It's probably one of the best cheeseburgers.
And this
you'll
old
ever
lady
have.
gives it to you, and
It's the first cheeseburger restaurant. They believe that's where it was invented.
yeah, in New Haven, yeah.
Yeah, in New Haven, and it's
Yeah.
don't be
Where
little.
the cheeseburger was invented?
They believe that's where the cheeseburger was invented.
It's amazing.
Wow. I've never heard of that place. I'll
You
have
gotta
to go.
go.
there. Okay, cool. What are you a fan of? Is there something that you want people to know that what you're a fan of? Like, are you a fan of, I don't know, porn? That
Yes.
that kind of
thing? Yeah, but, who isn't?
Just for brief moments.
Sure, very. I am a fan of Ryan Adams' music. I am a fan of golf, not watching it, but playing it. And I am a fan of...
Do you know Ryan?
No, not at all. Zero. I've never
Are
met
you
him in my
afraid
life.
of meeting
Yes.
any idols?
I'm very
or
afraid of
anyone
meeting
that you're
Ryan.
a fan of?
I'm afraid of bumping into Ryan somewhere, and I would never be like, "Hey, I love you," because I know it would freak him
I
out.
promise that he hates you.
That's
I
what I was
promise
thinking.
you that he hates your music.
Oh, I'm sure
And,
he hates my
and
music.
if you told him you were a fan, he would probably punch you.
Yeah, so that's why. Yes, I am afraid to meet him. Because then I won't like him anymore.
Man, he's a great artist.
Sounds like a nice guy.
I don't really know him.
Yeah. No,
sure
but I
I'm sure
feel
he would
like
hate you.
if
I have
someone
no
were to
idea.
put up our CD in front of him, he would be like, "Oh, I can't stand them because we're not glam rock or whatever he likes." That
Does he
right
like
now.
glam rock?
I just think he likes.
Remind you guys, he married Mandy Moore. All right, so he's not a he's not a purist.
Well,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Although she does great voiceovers for kids, I hear her in my kids' movies. I like Mandy. Okay, so why do you do this? Not music, but this attitude that you've... No, I'm just kidding. Why did you, why are you doing this? What's left to, prove to yourself or,
That's a really good question. Why do I do this? I do this because I honestly don't, I just can't see doing other things. I see it as a growth. I was 14, 15, 12, whatever it was, writing songs. My grandmother died from cancer. It was my first song I wrote, Cancer Life. I was like, this is the only way I knew how to do it. I was in the back of my minivan driving to New Jersey for the funeral, and I'm sitting there writing Cancer Life, been bringing me down, and I'm like, oh, I feel a little bit better. And I want to make music. Then I'm in a band, and my brother was in a band, so I want to be in a touring band. I want to learn how to tour and smell and be in a van with a bunch of dudes, and then I want to make music. I want to produce. I want to write. It's always like I want to do something in music, and I don't know why. So that's why I do it, is because I'm wired to want to continue it, not to be famous, but to continue growing so I can continue to raise my kids. And I know that's an excuse. I could get a job somewhere else, but there's no why there. I just know. This is what I was...
I think that's a great answer to that question. I think that Greg, all he can think about during this answer is, you had a minivan?
Cancer Life? What a terrible title. That'll never get on the radio.
That's all he was thinking. He's like, that's not going to work. We're going to have to change
The
it.
chorus. Sing me the hook.
The producer and Greg is like, oh, like it can never work. That will never work. All right, 2 more questions. Oh wait, no, actually 3 more. Is there a standout moment in your career that kind of got you here? Like,
Yeah.
some people's parents hate their choices, so it drives them. Like, what's the standout moment that you think of as like, man, that could have been the thing that made the whole thing go?
The weirdest thing is that, and I know the answer to this question completely, is we were in Ohio. We had done the high school thing. We'd gone to college, made a couple records, and no one would book us at shows in the town of Columbus because there was this dickhead who ran a club and he kicked us out one night because we were underage drinking or something. But then he blacklisted us and he called every owner of every club, don't book these guys.
Really?
Yeah, they're from out of town. They're not from here.
Wow.
Don't Dan something. And I'm going to blast him because he fucked with us. And it was like, we couldn't get a gig in Columbus. So what we said, all right, well, we'll rent out the Newport Music Hall and we'll sell tickets for $5.
Wow.
And I said to the guy, what's the night you guys don't even make $1? He's like, Monday or Tuesday nights. We're like, all right, we'll rent it out. And we'd promote ourselves. And we started doing that, and they would want to book us then, right? So that was a big, screw you type moment. But the real moment when it mattered was not even mine. Our guitar player had told his parents he was going to college, but he said the band's not really like the focus of this. But it was. It was the whole reason we went there. And his parents came to visit one of these sold out, rented 1,500 person shows, and they sat there with my parents and everyone else's parents and basically gave him acceptance and said, you know what, you're right, you can be in a band and we believe in you. And he didn't expect that. His parents were government workers, very serious about work. And it was his moment that kicked off our moment.
Oh, that's cool.
And that I remember very clearly.
Well, you guys do sound like friends.
For sure.
I don't have friends, so I don't know what
What is
that
this
feels
friends
like.
you speak of?
It sounds like it's a
Is that the
great
people you
thing.
give money to?
It's otherworldly. What's next for you, and what's next for O.A.R.?
At this moment, we're sitting in the studio in New York, finishing up a song called Peace, that hopefully will kick off the entire new album
It's a
campaign.
great song, by the way.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And that's really what we're doing. Finishing the album. We're going to come out in 2014, right, with an album and a tour and a brand new energy with a new album.
That sounds good. And the last thing is, where can people find you? You want to tell people what your websites are?
Great.
And also your Twitter and everything. And also, do you have any touring on the books?
Sure. Wow. Thanks, man. And thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate you guys.
I didn't want to do it. Pergo.
I know.
Really,
Well, Pergo,
yeah.
we have a... If there's one thing I need, it's that O.A.R. band. I mean, I love hip-hop,
Actually,
but those guys really...
when I came in here yesterday and got to talk to you, like, you've been one of the guys that I was really hoping to be able to podcast, because there's a few people... There's a few artists that I feel like are kindred spirits to what I do and what Train does. And O.A.R., you're just hardworking guys who, you did a lot of things the hard way, and everybody has to pay somewhere, and you guys paid a lot. And now hopefully you'll just be able to enjoy all of the, I wouldn't say the fruits or whatever, but definitely the hard work that you've put in. Maybe now you can just do good work instead of all of that hard work,
Man, you nailed it, man. That's what we're hoping for. And then, yeah, like I said before, you guys are kindred spirits in the sense of a band that we just respect, because, and I think it's mostly yourself, because you represent the guy who drives the bus, and like, you tried hard and you work hard, and that's really all I care about. Like, if someone doesn't work hard, I can't really respect them. It's hard to respect them. So, you can find us at Of A Revolution on Twitter, ofarevolution.com on the internet, and
Of A Revolution is such a cool name, man.
Thanks.
Do people know that?
No,
What OAR stands for?
We were in the basement of our drummer's house, and we were 16, and I came down. I said, we need our first band name was called Exposed Youth, but when we became 15 and 16, it became a very inappropriate name. And when we were 12, it was fine. So we said we need a new name, and I said, how about, I was writing this story called The Wanderer at the time, which was our first album, and there was a sentence in there that said blank of a revolution, like this was the beginning of a revolution or the birth of a revolution. I said, why don't we just call the band Of a Revolution and put an ellipses before and a period after and keep it all weird. And then as we gained a little bit of commercial success, people did not, it was hard to pronounce and write, so they went O.A.R. and then they called us O.A.R. Yeah. And we fought that forever, and now I just don't really give a shit as long as they got the letters correctly and it looks kind of right.
Yeah, right.
And that's it. Yeah.
Exposed Youth, man, could be the greatest name of all time. And you'd end up on some kind of Nightline.
Yeah.
Because everyone at the concert is going to jail at some point.
You know what it could be?
Oh man, this ain't what I thought it was.
You know how yo, you know when they set up a sting? You know how they set up a sting at a hotel, and they send a letter to all the pedophiles, and they're like, you won $1,000 and a trip to Hawaii. Come to this hotel to collect. And all the idiots, and they all show up. All we had to do is advertise, free show, Exposed Youth, and they just arrest every motherfucker that shows up. And I'll get up and I'll be like, hey,
man,
y'all
that sounds
are
too good to be true.
Is this like Comic-Con for kids?
Yeah. Comic-Con. Kids Macons.
For dongs?
All right. Marc Roberge from O.A.R. Thanks so much for doing this interview and for doing the podcast. Hey, Greg Wattenberg, thanks so much for sitting in. You didn't have much to say, and for the most part, everything that you did say was unenjoyable for the listener.
Mm-hmm. Boring.
But I enjoyed having you.
You're stupid.
All right. See you guys later.
All right. That was fun.
OfARevolution.com is where you can find Marc Roberge and O.A.R. It's actually an amazing name, Of a Revolution. So OfARevolution.com, or you can go to @OfARevolution or @Marc Roberge, Roberge, to find them on Twitter and Instagram. New single, Peace, comes out on the 25th of February. Select tour dates from now through May. Check their website. And if you want to know more about us, Patcast Podcast at Instagram and Twitter. Or you can go to patcast.com. Or you can just go to iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you want to go. All right. See you next time.